I don't want any problem with anybody. I'm doing the best I can with my life. I am very happy that I've done as much Christianity as I could possibly do.
Call it what you want, Reo. I'm a Christian too, but I don't do that, and I don't go to church no more. I don't do nothing. I don't show up at these things with my Bible in my hand.
What you're doing is you're judging somebody, and that's not correct.
Well, call it what you want. I've investigated, and I've come up with this stuff, and I'm calling you for the truth or the facts, and you're saying you didn't serve in Vietnam.
And that's all I've done was repeat it. I was not born then. I don't even know what happened. I don't know who.
I'm talking about Vietnam again. I'm on Vietnam. I said you said.
Vietnam, I tell you what. Let me tell you. I joined the Army to go to Vietnam because I'm a flag-waving American. I did not get chosen to go to Vietnam.
I didn't either.
Let me finish. And I'm going to finish, or you're not going to take this interview anymore.
Well, go ahead. I want to put it on. So go ahead. I want to let people see the Reo Hatfield that I've found out over the years. Go ahead, Reo. Go ahead.
I am the guy that I say I am. I'm trying to be a good person. And you keep arguing with me and at the same time making me angry, and I don't want to be angry.
I've caught you in lies, Reo. I've caught you in several lies, and you're not going to manipulate me to tell me that I didn't find out.
Me in any lie, because I don't lie.
Well, it says you're in Vietnam War. You're not.
I never said that to anybody that I was in the Vietnam War.
Okay, well, let's find out. Can we find out from TA who put your bio in there? Who wrote that bio?
The bio came from the internal, and you call I swear to God, you call my company, and I will finally bring this thing to a head.
Oh, what's wrong with peace? I thought it was peace and love. Peace and love. Are we talking a lawsuit now? I thought it was peace and love.
Do me a favor. Just remember, I am a good Christian.
You're also a Vietnam veteran.
Everything I can, and I did not go to Vietnam, nor did I try to go to.
You said a while ago you tried to.
That's not true. I said Vietnam era, and I told them that's the way it is.
You said you tried to go to Vietnam, and they didn't send you. That's what you said when I first called you.
I would go, and
Reo, we both know the truth here. I'm not going to argue with you neither. We both know the truth. It's man to man, and we both know. I know, you know you've been had. You've sucked it up, and
That's not true.
You have enjoyed the publicity. You and William Keith and Ron McCoy and Bo McCoy, you have enjoyed putting people down. You've love, peace, and happiness, and all this and that, and all the time telling fibs to people and not being truthful.
I want to say one thing before I go. I want you to remember this. I hope God forgives you for trying to put me in a position to make me look bad when I'm not doing anything.
You sure had no problem making Hubert Bay McCoy look bad, Reo. You had no.
I never tried to make anybody.
Well, when you say the man shot your grandpa in the back 3 times or 2 times or 5 times, and that he turned around and shot him, he was a McCoy, that's a lie. He was on his way to jail with Hubert Bay McCoy when he shot him. Hubert Bay punched your grandpa, and he pulled out his gun and shot him in the back of the head. They're telling me that, or they're not telling me. I researched it, and you're supposed to be a reserve police officer, honorary, of course I know. But you never Googled your grandpa. You never Googled Alan Hatfield or nothing. Make one police chief in all the years that you never wondered about your.
Listen, Fred. I'm telling you what I read. That's exactly what I thought because he's chief of police. That's all I knew. And that's all I care about knowing. And I'm sorry that happened if that's the way it did because I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody.
No, I agree. We don't either.
I don't want anything to happen to somebody like that. And if he did something like that, he's wrong and he shouldn't have done that. And that's terrible if that's the case. But I swear to you, I don't know anything more than what you're saying to be accurate. And if it's accurate, it's accurate. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't do anything about it. I don't care to do anything. And I'm not doing it for once. What publicity do I get is not one nickel have I gotten from this Hatfield McCoy because all I cared about was to tell people this. That the only goal I had was to tell the people of this country and the world that the Hatfield McCoys would come together to defend the freedom of the United States. That was the entire
Hatfields and McCoys have never been completely apart, Reo. My great-grandparents was a Hatfield and a McCoy. Nancy Hatfield and Asa McCoy.
The symbolic part
There is no symbolic part. Well, there is no problem with the Hatfields and McCoys. That you all created that in order to. You all created that to put on a TV show, to put on the news, and here, and now we're standing here, me and you, arguing over the Hatfields and McCoys. And I'm half Hatfield, by the way, but we're standing here arguing. Let me ask you this while we're at it. Just clear this up for me. Whose descendant are you? Devil Ance's, or are you Bad Elias's? Who was your great-grandfather?
It wasn't Devil Ance, that's for sure.
Exactly. But it says in some of the videos and things.
Listen, everybody, listen, you got to be honest, Fred. And then I'm going to hang up after this because this is not working for me because I'm trying to answer your questions in all fairness. I never said everything about Devil Ance Hatfield being my grandfather. I don't do that kind of stuff. And second of all, if in the reality of life is all I care about is that when Ron McCoy and Bo and them got together with me, they called me. And they were great. And I love Ron McCoy and I love Bo McCoy.
Yeah, of course you do.
I have no ill feelings about any human being in the face of the earth, and I will tell you this right now. I have been the best person I can possibly be, and I'm far from sainthood, but I love the United States. I love being a Christian. I love people, and I've done everything in my life to show it. And now, if along the way, if somebody repeats something differently than what's said, that happens. It's 1,000 different times in the Hatfield McCoy books the same way. But I will tell you right now, I am sorry if there's any issue that's caused by any printing or said any way or misunderstood by anybody, because I only care that the people of this country stay together united against anybody that wants to attack this country and take away our freedom. That's the only reason why.
I'll let you say that. I want to say one thing. So you're telling me that interview that you done with Phoebe Judge, that's somebody else's voice on there talking about your grandfather being shot in the back. He turned around in a brothel and shot the man, and it was a McCoy. You're telling me that's not you on there.
No, I never said.
You just now said that. You said if anything is incorrect, that somebody else has put it there, and it's not.
No, I said I've already answered that. You're trying to manipulate.
I'm not trying, Reo. You're on tape.
Fred, why don't you listen to me? I said what I have repeated that one time was what I read, and that's exactly
and you said you read that in the Washington Post. Is that correct? That's what it says on Phoebe Judge.
No,
That's what you say on Phoebe Judge. But the article that you read was the article that you gave to Dean King in 2011 in Granite Magazine.
There was an article written by the Washington Post about it, and so yes, I know there was an article.
They copied the original article, the original story that you gave. That's your words. We have tracked it down, Reo. I was a cop for 40 years.
Listen, Fred. I love talking to you. I'm sorry.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Let's be truthful.
I don't argue with people.
Well,
I try to do what's best, and if I've done anything that's by accident that you don't like, I'm sorry. If I could help you, I would. I have no problem with anything that you all do. I'm glad that you're out there with the Hatfield McCoy Museum and doing what you can to keep people aware so that people can come to that state, Kentucky and West Virginia, because it's a good state and it needs help from those that have tried to destroy it in the past in the political world. And I wish you the very honest to God best, and I hope God forgives us all for our sins and blesses you in every way possible, but I don't want it to cause any problems. I am just trying to get to the finish of my life as a good person, and I work hard, and I'm sorry that I've irritated you all.
No.
I don't mean it to be that way.
Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate you calling us back, and I'm sure the viewers is going to enjoy it. I mean, I've let you talk. I've tried to be quiet here in the last little bit. My wife's cut me off so I could let you say what you wanted to say.
You're trying to play what I replied. You know, I want to tell you something. I hope God will let you play this part one day. I am a good person. I love both Hatfield McCoys and all the families of West Virginia and Kentucky and the United States. I am a flag-waving American. I love America. I love this country, and I do everything in my power to protect this country. And I went to join the Army when others weren't, trying to join. It was doing the 10th offensive at 68.
I went in when I was 17 years old, Reo. So there's millions of military people that's done that, and it doesn't mean you're not you're not trying to be a Christian or anything else. But we don't have the right to go out here and make things up. And if you think that I'm going to believe that you, with a man of your intelligence, didn't go out here and research your grandfather over the years and find out what he was, that he was a murderer, and the things that he done. Why would you say that the bullets? Why would you say in interviews that the bullets? He went to his grave with the bullets.
I know the fact that he got a bullet taken out of him when I was like 14 years old.
But you said before that he went to grave. You and Daryl Fetty said he went to his grave with 3 bullets in his back. But yet on the interview, when she asked you about the bullets, you said they took them out. They lost them.
No, that's not what I said. I said when I was around 14 years old, there was a bullet that was in his stomach, around the stomach, that they had to go in there and surgically remove. I remember that because that's the only time I knew anything about a bullet. That was it, and I never even knew anything about the story, nor do I still do except what I read. And that's all I read, and that's all I've said. And if it's wrong, I'm sorry. I didn't do it.
Well, I don't need the apology. His daughter needs the apology that she's went through their life. They contacted us years ago, and the girl wouldn't even tell nobody that she was from Matewan, West Virginia. And the other lady from Phelps said, why? And she said, well, I don't tell because my grandfather was in a brothel when he shot the police chief. And that when we found out, it come from a 2011 story with Dean King, with an interview with Reo Hatfield, and that's why she didn't want to tell nobody no longer that she was from Matewan. And we started looking at it, and if you'll Google Alan Hatfield, no, hold on a minute, you interrupted me and told me to shut up, and I've shut up. And when we researched, are you there?
Yeah.
When we researched it, all you got to do is Google Alan Hatfield, February 17th, 1947, or Alan Hatfield, Matewan Police Chief, Hubert Bay McCoy, anything. There's over 200 news articles comes up on him. And I'm sure you've seen them by now. If you've been watching our videos and know what we do, then you know
I don't watch your videos, but I don't care. I just want you to know that I'm not doing anything on purpose to hurt anybody. And I have never done that.
I didn't say you was doing it to hurt. I said what you're doing hurt people in the process. No, you're doing it for publicity. You're doing it.
Why do I need publicity?
I don't know. Some people's got that kind of personality, Reo. Why Devil Ants need 100,000 pictures of him always holding a gun in a big monument? I don't know. Why does people do that?
Well, let me ask you a question. By you saying that, sir, are you complaining about Devil Ants Hatfield?
Oh, I think he was a narcissist. A murderer, a narcissist, a deserter. I think he was as low as anybody can go. Whether Hatfield, McCoy, I don't care what his last name is, his surname, he's the bottom of the barrel, and nobody's ever stood up and told it like it was. And when you found Ron and Bo McCoy and put them in your pocket, that just encouraged you, and they're the
ones that invited me.
Yeah.
I'm the one who wrote the truth because it's true.
Yeah.
If you read it.
They just filed a lawsuit a year and a half before that against a man that had never bothered nobody.
I didn't have anything. I don't know anything about that.
You didn't know nothing about the lawsuit. It says in one of the articles that you said one of the last things that happened was a family lawsuit. Well, the family lawsuit come from Bo and Ron McCoy, the ones that sitting there signing the peace treaty with you, Reo. And you said that was your words in the paper.
What they said to me, what they believe.
That's why I tape everything, huh?
Is so that people could see the graves of their family. Is what they said.
Never had no problem.
That's what I believe.
We never had no problem seeing the graves of our family until they filed a lawsuit. Never had no problems. Sheila and I's been up there.
Why did they file a lawsuit?
Because they wanted Pike County Tourism. I don't know. You work for Pike County Tourism. You tell us. Why did they file it? They wanted to take a bus up there.
I don't work for anybody.
Well, you represent them. You represent them. You represent.
I don't represent anything except the fact that I know Tony Tackett and them have tried their best to reinforce the idea of the good that came out of Hatfield McCoy.
Yeah, that he repeats your story when he does the bus tours. They repeat these stories about Hatfield being shot in the back.
Let me ask you a question. Let me tell you something. If that information is wrong, then I'm sorry that it's got even got started, no matter where it was, has nothing to do with me. I didn't make it up.
Okay.
I don't bring it up.
Of course
I did
not.
not bring anything up to create publicity. I don't need any publicity. All I want is peace and quiet.
Then why would you tell a story that your grandfather was shot in the back and be so proud about it, and that he turned around and shot and killed a McCoy and it was in the line of duty?
I've already told you.
Okay. Well, no, you're sitting there telling me, but I'm telling you, I'm coming back with the response that these people out there that's listening to me and you, they're going to be asking. I'm
sorry. You can tell them from me. I am very sorry if there's any harm caused by anything that was misconstrued by what I said or anybody else, because there was too many things in the Hatfield McCoys are good people. The people
I've never
of
said
West Virginia and the good people of Kentucky. But there was a lot of stuff written about those families that we tried to stop and say, here, there was some things that went on that were not good in those days, but the people were good.
Yeah.
They just took things and
last question, last comment. You sound
trying to get everybody to understand that
you sound real good, and that sounds real good. I love it. That's a real good comment that you love everybody and all that. Then who wrote, Dean King, when he wrote in the story and said that Reo Hatfield said that he disliked McCoy's on principle, that's fake. Is that correct?
I never said that.
Dean King lied then. Dean King's a liar, because that's what he's got in your article.
No, Dean King's a great guy, and I will tell you something else.
Well, now wait, one of you's not telling the truth. He said
No,
that,
that's not true. I said that when I was growing up, I'm not going to go into that. Because
well, that's what you said. You didn't like McCoy's on principle, but you just got through saying that you love McCoy's and Hatfields. I love them all too. I love everybody. But we don't deserve to lie and manufacture stories and fabricate.
I can tell this. You just tried to aggravate me and cause me to say things, and I apologize.
No, you're a 20-year police veteran. You're not going to say nothing you don't mean. Remember? Hey guys, it's Fred and Sheila McCoy, Hatfield McCoy Museum, Liberty, Kentucky. We're still at our house. I wanted to interrupt here a little bit. I want to go over a couple of things real calmly. As you can tell, myself and Reo both are, that's my nature. Remember, I talk on our other videos that's my nature. I'm loud, I get excited, that's my nature. Now, Mr. Hatfield, of course, if you've ever seen any videos of him, any phone calls, anything at all, he's always out to hand out Mr. Love, Mr. Peace, Mr. Exactly the opposite of me, Mr. Fake, because you're getting to see the real Reo Hatfield right now. He's always been catered to. He's always had people under him. He's always been on the top. He's not used to somebody questioning him, questioning his authority or anything. I want to go over a couple of things here, and when I do, it may explain some of this stuff to you. This is not even about stolen valor. This is about whether Reo Hatfield served in Vietnam or not. His bio says he did, and usually when a person has a bio, they submit that bio to the company themselves. Guys, when you see my hand shaking, whether it's with the paper or whether it's with the phone, I got injured years ago arresting a guy. I retired disabled with the department as far as that. That's the last night that I worked, was a Halloween night when I arrested a guy, and I was arresting him. We got in a fight and fell back on my gun and messed my back up. I had 3 pins put in. But during that, something happened in my spine, and my hands shake. When you see my phone shaking on there, that's not from nerves. I can't hardly drink a cup of coffee. I got to watch because my hands shake. It could be Parkinson's. I don't know. But when you see that going on, it seems like nervousness and stuff makes it even worse. Sometimes you'll see me grab my back when I'm talking. It's where my back is spasming on me. I usually wear my TENS unit, and that helps cut it out. But don't pay no attention to the handshake and all that. That's just part of the... So, ever who submits the bio is usually the person that the bio is on. That's just the way, if I'm incorrect, somebody can correct me. And I'm not saying it's always like that. But let's go on. Notice that when I ask who I should contact at his company to see where the false information came from, how irate Reo got. That's how you find the truth. Did he submit the bio, or did someone else make a mistake with the company? And you know, that's a telltale sign. In the first video, I sat back down in the chair and I said, Reo, who? He said, oh, I didn't say that. I said Vietnam era. And I said, well, who do we need to contact? Who did you submit that bio? Who submitted it? Because we need to contact them and see what are you talking about? What's this? This ain't no big deal. This is, well, it's a big deal. Stolen valor is a big deal. When you claim that you were in the military and you wasn't, I think Reo was probably in the military. We got no proof of that, but I believe that part. But I don't believe he was in Vietnam, and he even says he wasn't in Nam. So so when I mention about who do we contact to find out, that's, as a detective, that's what you do. You follow leads. He says he didn't put that in his bio. Well, who did? Let's find out. Let's find out, was it a mistake? And if it was a mistake, it's almost 3 years ago, why didn't he correct it when he read his bio? Why did he continue to let people believe that he was in the Vietnam War, like it says? I'll show you here in a minute. Why didn't he correct it? If he didn't put it there, why didn't he make the necessary corrections? We all know why. We all know why. And why doesn't he want to tell me, who's in charge of that stuff at TA Services, so I can contact them and see, did you submit exactly what Reo Hatfield brought you, or did you alter it at all? And I have a feeling they're going to say, we didn't alter it. That's what he submitted. But again, that's a good thing about court. That's a good thing about lawsuits. That's a good thing about depositions, discovery. You can find out a lot of this stuff out and stuff like that. I hope it don't go that route, but if it does, then, you know, a lot of things, a lot more than this is going to come out. If they did make a mistake, why didn't Reo want to correct it years later? I've said that. I think Reo tells us who put the Vietnam War information in there. I think he tells us that. I played back the video where Reo was threatening. And you know, when he first said it, I started talking about, where's the peace, where's the love? I thought he was talking about a lawsuit. I played that video back and I'm listening to it, and I should have let him talk on, because that may have been a physical threat. It was a threat. There's no mistaking a threat when you hear one. But was it a threat for a lawsuit, or was it a threat for bodily harm? You'll have to go back and listen. That's in the first video when he turns loose. And he said, Fred, I'll tell you what, if you contact my company, and whatever he started saying. And I said, I automatically thought he was talking about a lawsuit. But after I listened to it back, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You know, I don't know. Bottom line is, we were asked to check into the claim made that Reo Hatfield had served in the Vietnam War. And the answer is, Reo Hatfield did not serve in the Vietnam War. Reo Hatfield was never in the Vietnam War. So on that, we can probably clear that up right there, where it says, and I'm just going to take my time today. I'm not going to get in no hurry. If you guys are in a hurry to get through it, then you probably don't have time to watch the video. This part in the gray right here, this part in the gray where it says Hatfield also served in the Vietnam War as a sergeant stationed in Seoul. Now, you don't serve in the Vietnam War while you're in Seoul. Now, look here at this. While we're on this page, there's that story. It says 3.5 million viewers. Mm-hmm. Look up here where it says 3.5 million viewers, and it says paragraph deleted. This is on a totally different page, and you'll see right below it where it says a person's actions and history, and it says right here, a person's actions and history tell a lot. Mm-hmm. That's the two things. Now, somebody went on the internet. It appears, I'm no genius, but it appears these are two different stories about Reo been employed with this TA company. And it appears that somebody has gone on and deleted. Like I said, we have been throwing out all kinds of clues over the last few videos we've done about stolen valor, about Vietnam War. I've even contacted, I have even contacted Dean King. Now his name comes up. If it's not come up yet, it will. I contacted Dean King a week or so ago. It's on my messages, and I always make copies of everything to save. And I asked Dean King if he mentioned anything to him about the Vietnam War. But anyway, without concerning Dean King, we'll go from there. My investigation is complete. My investigation, I'm spot on. Now, have you ever seen anybody, do you think Jeffrey Dahmer come out and confess to doing all the things he done, or Charles Manson, or anybody? You know, it don't have to be that drastic. It can be anybody. The guy that embezzled a bunch of money from New York or whatever his name was. But do you think any of them come out and said, oh yeah, I did it, no. You know what they say? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know how many times I've heard that in 40 years I've been a police officer? I'm sorry. Once you get somebody, I'm sorry. You know, they're not sorry of what they did. They're sorry they got caught. And you can apologize all you want, but I may seem hard in these videos. I may seem hard on that phone. I didn't even get to say what I really wanted to say because the camera was on. I would have used some different language probably, and I would have, instead of sitting there saying I'm a Christian and I'm a God-fearing man, again, these are the ones that show up at these Hatfield McCoy sites with their Bibles under their arms, like they have to tell people they're Christians. You don't have to tell nobody you're a Christian. You can tell by my personality here lately. I used to be a Christian. I used to be a good Christian. And then I started dealing with people like this, and it really turns your faith off. Sheila, that's a different story on the other hand. That's why I don't like her getting, I respect her opinion when she don't want to get involved or tries to calm me down or tell me not to say something, because she's a good Christian woman. She lives it. She don't just talk it. So, you know, you can take this man, you can listen to him, and you can think, oh, that's the sweetest guy, poor old fella. You can think that if you want, but each time that he thinks he's got me, where I say, and that's police work, I don't know, it may be hard to pick up on, it becomes natural, and I say, well, thank you, you're exactly right, I love it, I love what you're saying. Then I more or less say you're lying, though. And when I call him a liar, then the other side comes out. Then the other side comes out. Then you get to see the real man behind that name. That's the real man that comes out there. It's not this guy with a camera in front of him. I'm sorry if some of you don't understand that, but I do. And any police officers out there, any professionals, anybody that really studies people, you'll see that. It's not hard to see how fast he can turn on a dime from threats to, and then let's go on. We proved that he wasn't in Vietnam. So for the gentleman that contacted us about that, you were correct. Reo was never in Vietnam. There are all kinds of play on words out there that people use once they are approached or called out for stolen valor. There are hundreds of YouTube videos. Just Google stolen valor. We are not going to attempt to prosecute or belittle any more than I just wanted to get it out there and tell. So we're not going to prosecute or persecute Reo. He done it himself. Our mission was to find out one way or the other, and we did. We found out. Reo said it in his own words. And if you'll watch my first video, if you'll go back to the very first video where we say we've been contacted, and about halfway through that long video, I say, you know, I have a feeling that what Reo's going to say is, and then I pause and I said, well, I probably shouldn't say anything, because if he hasn't thought of it, that will give him the ideal. But he did it. And that's what a lot of people in stolen valor, they do. They want to connect. If they say they were in the Vietnam War and somebody calls them out on the Vietnam War, where's Laos? Where's Cambodia? Where was you? They lose their spot. They don't know. And I didn't mean Vietnam War. I mean, I served in the Vietnam era. Well, you don't get that Vietnam medal for serving during Vietnam era. You don't get it. you only get that medal if your boots on the ground. It only says that on your DD-214 if your boots on the ground in Vietnam. 58,400 and some men. I could be wrong on the last part. 58,000 American GIs, Marines, sailors, airmen died in Vietnam. I wasn't in Vietnam, but I can tell you a little bit about Vietnam. And these people that served in Vietnam, a good friend of mine, Aunt Sheila's, Dennis Sutton, who was Popcorn Sutton's first cousin, lives in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. Dennis served in Vietnam. And people like that deserve the utmost respect. And they don't like it when people steal the thunder or are imposters. Let's get off of that. Just one more. This was just one more disappointing find that Sheila and I have discovered about Mr. Reo Hatfield. It broke Sheila's heart. Sheila was actually hoping, and I think I was. I think it broke my heart a little bit. I think it hurt because most disappointed. This was disappointing, but Mr. Hatfield in this story, he stated in 2011 about his grandfather being shot by a McCoy in a brothel. It wasn't bad enough that a McCoy shot his grandfather in the back, the story that he tells, but he shot him in the back in a brothel because he was interrupted. Now, guys, I'm not going to go over the Hubert Bay McCoy stories. It's one of the first videos we've done because it's close to our hearts. And if you ever meet Virginia, Hubert Bay's daughter, who was that big when her father was killed that day, and she's now almost 80 years old, sweetest woman in the world. If you ever meet her, you'll see why Sheila and I are like we are. There's other people's lives involved. Reo makes a comment about his family, and he wants to take care of his family. He wants to protect them. He don't want slandered. Well, I'm trying my best not to slander them. I'm trying my best to just let the evidence show what we got. That's why I mentioned about, we sent you a book 8 years ago, 10 years ago, whenever it was. We sent you a book. I didn't get it, he said. I have a feeling that he did. We didn't send him a book trying to promote a book. We sent him a book that had all the criminal records, the indictments, the arrest, the sentencing, the jury's verdict, the death certificates, photographs. We sent him that so he would know what was being said. We also asked to have the body exhumed. Let's get them 3 bullets out of his back. Remember, he says back. Yesterday, on the phone, he says stomach. Took a bullet out of his stomach. So he's either shot 4 times or the story's changed, which it changes many times during our research. Go watch the Hubert Bay McCoy story. That's the most sad story you'll see. And Sheila and I done the research on that, and I'm going to go on because I'm going to lead to it here. No records of this story ever been told in any. He said he got his information from a Hatfield McCoy book. I said, what Hatfield McCoy book? Well, it was a Hatfield McCoy. Well, there's hundreds of Hatfields and McCoy books out there. Which one? I know what he was going to tell you, but he realized who he was talking to, and I've had done one video. He's talking about Ron McCoy's book. Ron McCoy on page 247 or whatever it is of that book has Reo Hatfield, has an interview with Reo Hatfield, and Reo Hatfield tells him about his grandfather being shot in the back and killed. The exact same story he's told Phoebe Judge, the exact same story he told Dean King, and anybody else that would listen over the years when he has these meetings and public displays, which he doesn't like publicity. Remember, he doesn't like publicity. He didn't do it for publicity. Google Reo Hatfield. Google Reo Hatfield. I'm sorry, babe. I just want to let these people know. I just want to let them see. Yeah. Let them do their own investigation.
Yeah, that's what they need to do.
Google Reo Hatfield and click on images. Look at the pictures of Reo. Look at him. Standing tall, standing proud. That's great at somebody else's expense. Reading a story a while ago, headlines of the Washington Post. It was 2013, I think it was, 2 years after he gave his initial story to Dean King. And it says, the author of that story for the New York Post, headlines read, went on the Pike County Tourism Tour. He went on the tour. You know what the story is he tells? He tells the exact story that Reo Hatfield tells about his grandfather being the police chief in Matewan, West Virginia, and shooting and killing a McCoy that shot him in the back 3 times. Now, Reo probably wasn't on that tour bus. So where did this gentleman hear this from? Who told him that story that he put it in the Washington Post? Ever who was on that tour bus, I would imagine, my opinion, my professional opinion, that's where my investigation would lead. Now, I contacted that reporter years later and asked him, why don't, you've been hornswoggled. That's not a true story. Why don't you go back? I was trying to get people to go to Reo and the reporters and people to go and sit down with him and do a story on him because he loves these stories. He's a lot like Devil Lance. But I wanted him to let him put his foot in his mouth and go ahead and interview him and tell us about this grandfather. And he would have told you again. Only he would have added on to it more bullets or whatever, but it usually gets added on to. Nobody ever wanted to do that because they fear Reo Hatfield. One woman we talked to, we asked her about it and she said, Lord, no. This is her quote. I think I've got it in an email, so I won't say it because I may not have it in an email, but she used a word to describe Reo. I didn't even know what the word was. I'm not real swift on English language or grammar and all that, so I had to go look it up in the dictionary to see what she described him as, and he's exactly the way she described him, and it means people fear him, but it's a different word. So the first time that we ever saw this story, the first time it's ever came out, Reo can't tell us the book that it was in, because no matter what book he says it's in, it's not going to be a book before 2011. When Dean King with Granta Magazine, or he sold a story to Granta Magazine, I imagine, but he wrote a story and interviewed Reo Hatfield, and that was 2011. And that's the first time in history that this story has ever been told. Dean King, an author, an editor, a good fella. You know, you'll hear me on there. If I haven't done it already, I will. I'll say, oh, so Dean King's a liar. No, Dean King's not a liar. Dean King's not a liar. Dean King's like anybody else. He may not do the best research sometimes, but if Dean King wrote it in there, that person's probably told him. He's probably got it on tape somewhere. He probably taped the entire interview, which would be nice. Dean King is a good guy. I like Dean King. Sheila and I both like Dean King. Nothing bad to say about Dean King. But you'll hear me say, so Dean King's a liar. Oh, no, he ain't a liar. I love him. Well, you're saying you didn't say it, so that means Dean King just put it in his story. That one of them's a liar, right? I mean, anybody can relate to me. That's what you would call it. If you're a straight up guy and you say it like it is, you don't try to beat around the bush, one of you's lying. Well, if he loves Dean King and he's saying Dean King put that in there on his own, he don't need any enemies, Dean don't, if that's his friend. Of course, since Reo's story, it has been repeated and reprinted many times over the years. But the story was invented by Reo Hatfield, contrary to what he may say or claim. And how calm he is sometimes throughout this conversation. And then all of a sudden, when you call him out, and he knows he's been had. Now, guys, you're listening to the conversation. You're listening to it. You're on the other end. You see me standing there with the phone. Am I putting words in his mouth? Am I trying to set him up? I'm not talking for him. He's talking. Now, there's sometimes that he wants to go on and on and on and on and sell the American people. I'm a flag-waving American. So am I. Damn it. So am I. I'm a flag-waving American. I'm a Christian. I'm a sinner. I'm not the best Christian, but I don't have to go around waving it. Tell me about your Vietnam War service. Tell me about your Hubert Bay McCoy story. Tell me about the peace treaty that you said it was signed after there was a lawsuit filed. When you're actually signing the lawsuit with the people that filed the lawsuit, when you're signing the treaty with the people that filed the lawsuit against an innocent man. It goes on and on. Reo, like Devil Anse, has enjoyed the limelight. I will try to give him all the attention he strives for. So just Google his name and click on the images, and you'll see how he compares to his. I think he may have Devil Anse beat. If he's, I don't know what relation Reo is. I've never got none of these guys to do DNAs. We don't even know for sure if some of these people are even Hatfields at all. We don't even know because nobody does DNAs. And I'm telling you, there's a reason for people not doing DNAs. We're not going to get on that right now, but there's a, let's do some DNAs. If it proves they are who they are, then that's fantastic. That's great. But by putting it off, that don't help nothing. That just keeps the suspense, the rumors, but people back in them days, up in the mountains, a lot of stuff went on. We need to find out who's related to who. The reason I mentioned the book to Reo in that interview was because the facts of Sheila and I's investigation was in that book that we sent him. And now we've done a second book. We're going to let you continue on with some more of these conversations. Sheila, you got anything?
No.
We're brokenhearted. I know it may not seem like that with me on the phone. It's like working a case and you solve the case. It's like getting a date with a woman, or I don't know, maybe a woman getting a date with a man, and you're looking so forward to it, you think it's going to be the best date in the world, you think everything's going to be great, and you get the date and it sucks. The date is just nothing, the girl's nothing, or the guy's nothing, if you're a girl and you're dating a guy, like you thought. And you're disappointed at the end. That's what this is. I speak sincerely. Reo speaks nice and mild, and I'm a Christian, and tell the American people, tell your viewers I'm an American, tell them I want to help the country, tell them what red-blooded American doesn't want to help the country. But we don't go out and exploit one of the biggest catastrophes that ever happened in America, the World Trade Center's fallen. We don't exploit that with Hatfield McCoy stuff, trying to get our name in the news by saying we're going to sign a peace treaty. It's so fake, guys. I could go on and on. But we don't enjoy this. It's sad. It's sad that people, this is a well-to-do gentleman, well off. Got a good family, professional families. I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry that he's like this. But as far as the narcissism and personality, they're a lot alike in that respect. This has really took the fire out of us. Been wanting to prove him wrong forever on Hubert Bay McCoy, mostly for Hubert Bay's daughter, which we're good friends with, and I think we did that. And now all he needs to do is apologize to her. Don't apologize to us. Apologize to Virginia, Miss Markham. Guys, I'm sorry, and I may seem a little bit, look at there. And I've been a cop for 40 years, but that has built up for years and years and years, trying to get a hold of him to confront him, Sheila and I, about Hubert Bay McCoy. Yeah. You know, he says he wants to make it right. He don't make it right with us. We know. I know what this man is. I know. If you all listen closely, you can probably figure it out. But it's okay. I don't want to defame him or slander him like he did Hubert Bay McCoy. He says he's apologetic. If you're apologetic, get on that phone and call Hubert Bay's almost 80-year-old daughter, if she's not 80, and say, hey, Miss Virginia, I'm sorry. I created this story about your father, and it was wrong. It was incorrect. Don't make excuses and say you didn't do this or you thought it was that. I don't believe that, because anybody that can Google, if you can write your name, you can Google your grandfather's name. And you want to build on your grandfather's history so much that you'll say anything, but it's funny, but you didn't research them. You never one time Googled your grandfather, police chief, Mate 1, West Virginia, Allen Hatfield. Shot 2 men, he was police chief for 2 years. Of course, he says 5 years, but he was police chief for 2 years, killed 2 men in 2 years, killed Hubert Bay 7 months after he did the other one. He was a shooter. His grandfather was a shooter instead of a fighter. He shouldn't have been in law enforcement. His grandfather was trying to make a name for himself, somewhat like this gentleman. Contrary to what he says,
You're doing good.
his grandfather was trying to be like Sid Hatfield from the Cold Wars, make one police chief, and his grandfather was trying to carry the name of Devil Anse Hatfield on with him like he was a bad dude. Well, he was bad. When he had a gun in his hand, he was bad. He shot 2 men, killed them dead. One of them he got away with, the other one he was sentenced to 5 years. You know, Reo says, did he ever serve any time?
Unknown caller.
This is him calling back. Yeah, I've still got everything on. Go ahead.
You got everything on. Listen, I did accidentally hit this button that turns it off. That's why I called you back to apologize. I didn't mean to do that. That was not. I didn't hang up on you. I just hit the button by accident. So
Okay.
I want to call back and tell you I didn't do that. So
Well, that's good. I thought you hung up, but that's fine.
listen, Fred. I wish you the very best, and I mean that sincerely. Believe what you have to believe, but I want you to know that slander or hurt me is hurts my family. It hurts everybody else, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody. And after you tell that person that thinks so, please, forgive me for anything that she may have understood wrong or I said that led to that. I was told certain stories, and that's all I know. And I don't have any reason to get publicity. I don't need publicity. I'm old, and I don't need anything but good things for everybody. And I mean that sincerely. I hope that you understand that when you repeat your stuff, because I have no vendetta against any human being living. I've never hurt anybody on purpose in my life, ever. So please forgive anything else.
This is not a vendetta, but I do appreciate you calling me the first time, returning my call, and I do appreciate you calling back because I did think you'd hung up. So that's great. I've got a lot off my chest, Reo, and we've answered this guy's question.
Fred,
I mean,
I'll tell you the truth. You may not believe this, Bart, but I honestly appreciate you taking the time and being man enough to call me. And I want you to know, I'm that kind of man too. I would not do anything to hurt anybody, and I hope to God you will believe that, and take it with the idea that there was a lot of stuff that has told, and so we repeat things thinking it's the truth, just like we do in life today. And I never would ever intentionally repeat things incorrectly. In fact, I'm not proud of the fact that it was McCoy, because what I was trying to reiterate is that no one should do that to anybody. But I assume this is in a law enforcement activity, so I don't know any more than that. And I apologize to you, to anybody else. But the truth is, I love everybody, and I love the Hatfield McCoys because I believe we stand for what is good in this country, because we have never been told the entire truth when it comes to these books and so forth. Now, Dean King's a good guy. I love him to death. I'll always love him. And I think that he's tried to do his best as an author to repeat stuff that he thinks is accurate and correctly. And I know that you are doing the same thing, but I want you to know for sure, what you think of me is incorrect. I am a person that does not agree with those kind of ways of doing people. I never have, never will, and I stand up for America every single day of my life. And I spent 25 years of my life doing it for free. When I was on the police department, I never collected one nickel.
Nobody does nothing for free. I've seen auxiliary. I've seen it all in 40 years, and nobody does nothing for free. It's for the prestige. It's for the uniform. It's for the trust that people puts in us. And again, Reo, you're not going to listen. I'll let you speak, and and that's good. I'm going to let people hear everything you said. I want you to. I'm not trying to. I think you've done your own self in. I think you demeanored your own self through these stories you've told. So I'm not going to try to degrade you myself. I don't have to. I think you've done that with your stories. I think Dean King.
Are you serious? Are you really serious? You would do that to somebody and try to make them look bad because
Did you do it to Hubert Bay McCoy? Did you do it to a World War II hero? Did you do it to Hubert Bay?
I did not do anything to anybody that was on purpose. What you did is,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that, Reo, and you're not going to convince me a white sheep's black or a black sheep's white. I'm sorry. I'll listen to you talk, and that's great. I'm not going to convince you of something. You're not going to convince me. Let's let the people be the judge. Let the evidence.
I don't care. You know what, Fred? I've tried to be.
No, you've tried to change my mind. You've tried to change my point of view, and you're not going to do that. After.
No, I'm just telling you the truth.
Okay. Okay, if it's the truth that your grandfather was shot in the back 3 times, if it's the truth that...
I was told.
Well, and you never researched it. Never had an inclination at no time to ever Google your grandfather's name and see what kind of man he was. Or
I had Googled him, and I don't remember seeing anything differently than what you told me.
Yeah, well, we got 200 articles on the wall in the museum of him.
You know, you're looking for something. I'm not looking for anything.
Oh, I'm looking for it. You're looking for it when you gave the story that you don't trust McCoy's? You was looking for something then, Reo.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Listen, let's do
All you got to do is say bye. All you got to do is say bye. I'm not going to hang up on you, so you can say bye whenever you want.
Well, thank you, sir. And I hope goodbye to you is great, and I hope you understand and look into your heart and think differently. Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Guys, that's going to be a long video. I don't know how long, huh?
36 minutes.
Oh, that ain't bad. On every one of them?
On the whole, well, no, the first one was a little longer. I forgot.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. You guys be the judge. This is probably going to stop my YouTube presentation after I post this video. We've done posted the other one asking for his DD-214. So,
yeah.
That's what had me so upset in all these years is the presentation that this guy and Ron McCoy and William Keith and all of them's put on for the Pike County Tourism. Instead of having the local people. Now, there's no local people. Don't take that the wrong way, because we've never wanted to be a spokesperson for the Pike County Tourism. Neither did John Vance. That's why they had to file a suit and different. These people from back home don't want to get involved in that stuff. I finally got involved as a last resort and started making these videos. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. You all be the judge. The evidence is out there. I can tell you, I got a whole head full of hair if you want to believe it. But I don't. And I can tell it with niceness. I can tell it with sincerity. And even on that video there, you'll notice Reo. He turns loose. That's the Reo Hatfield that they know. Not the one standing there with love and mercy and kindness, and like William Keith, like Jack Hatfield, and Bo and Ron. There's a difference in those men and Fred McCoy. Take me for an asshole if you want. Take me for whatever you want. I confront things head on. I'm a Marine. I confront it head on. Ask the person straight out. Don't beat around the bush 1 minute and say, I like you. I wish you the best in life. And the whole time sitting there thinking, oh, I'd like to pound them into the ground. Because it's not hard to see how the man's thinking. But the words coming out of his mouth is, I wish you the best. I hope he does. I hope he's sincere about that. I have my doubts, but it's okay. It's not about Fred McCoy. It's not about sincerity on my part. It's about the truth. And I think we just proved our case. Reo Hatfield was never in the Vietnam War. And one of the papers has been deleted on the internet. That's why I started out calling today, because it's been deleted. That part, that paragraph, and we'll probably do a video of that in a minute and show you what one of them says. But they forgot who deleted it, because if you've noticed, I've been throwing in on some of our other videos. Guys, we got a story coming out on stolen valor. Guys, it's like somebody saying they were in Vietnam War, boots on the ground in Vietnam, in the Vietnam War, but they were not. And we've thrown out several hints as to what the video that was coming, the controversial video. And that's what it was about. And after they picked up on it, they deleted that paragraph out where it said that. And I'd already made copies. They're on the video you're probably watching now. And so I'm glad we got copies and took pictures of the computer screen and screen printed.